So, are you fond of mysteries? Because today I'm going to tell you one. And it's about a very peculiar lake located right here in Malaysia. I present to you the wonders of Tasik Chini.
Chini Lake, better known locally as Tasik Chini, is a 12,565-acre lake in Pekan District, Pahang, Malaysia. It's the second largest freshwater lake in Peninsular Malaysia, comprising a dozen interconnecting bodies of water. The lake shores are inhabited by the Jakun branch of the Orang Asli. Mysterious beginnings. The Naga Serigumum. Dragons are believed to be the denizens of the lake. Since the 90s, legends that originate from the Jakun say that dragons lurk in the depths of Lake Chini. There have been a variety of legends associated with the creature in the oral literature.
The male dragon of the Chini Lake is Seri Kamboja, and the female dragon of the Chini Lake is the infamous Naga Serigumum. The Serigumum dragon is a legendary giant serpent.
In case you don't speak poetic, it means huge snake. It is commonly described by the locals to take the form of an Asian dragon. The female has shiny silver iron scales, whereas the male has green skin streaked with scales of bronze.
The color of their scales is actually based on how long the person has meditated. If you've meditated for no longer than 25 years, then you'll have ordinary scales. If it's 25 to 49 years, then you'll have scales made of bronze. If you've meditated for 50 to 74 years, then you'll have iron scales. If you go higher than that, which is 75 to 99 years, then you'll have shining silver scales. And finally, the king among all scales is only achieved by meditating for 100 years. That is, if you do so, you'll have scales streaked with gold. There are actually a bunch of versions regarding about the love life between Serigumum and Seri Kamboja. However, here's one of them.
So, in this story, Serigumum was a cursed princess that was sealed away in a forbidden garden built on the lake. Many years later, a prince called Putra Kamboja came from afar and met Serigumum in the forbidden forest, and eventually, they fell in love. The princess somehow was able to break the seal containing her when she agreed to follow the prince to head to the South China Sea and live with him. As soon as they crossed the boundaries of the forbidden garden, Serigumum and Seri Kamboja transformed into two Naga. Yes, that was intentional. Both of them have the knowledge to turn into one. That's why they went out at night. Because if they do so in the morning, they'll turn into rocks, as it is forbidden for Naga men and Naga women to travel in broad daylight. At the very moment, the forbidden garden was flooded, hidden forever at the bottom of the Chini Lake. So, as they were swimming out into the South China Sea, Serigumum suddenly realized that she had left her sash behind. So she swam back to the lake to retrieve it. Seri Kamboja, who did not bother to look back, didn't realize Serigumum was not with him anymore. Unfortunately, the Lady Naga swam too close to an island, Bukit Dato, and her sash got caught on a stone. While she was trying to get free, she heard the cock crow. She knew it was almost daylight and she could not go farther. She waited for a long time until her breath became so still that she slowly turned into an island. A little bird, the TIOMAN, loved to rest on the island, and soon the new island was called TIOMAN. Seri Kamboja, who had swam on ahead, also heard the cock crow. He immediately stopped too, and he became the Lingga Island.
The lost world of Khmer City.
So, what about that forbidden garden? Turns out, Jakun say it's actually a strong influential Khmer empire. It is long believed to be at the very bottom of the Chini Lake. And if you talk to the Orang Asli, they will tell you that Chini was the southernmost tip of the Khmer Empire that spread from Cambodia to Old Malaya in the 12th century.
although many people have made claims of a sunken city, little effort has been made by our country in order to unravel the mystery.
Excavations and Research. Since 1998, explorers and scientists have done their part in excavating the lands of Tasik Chini in order to prove the existence of such a city. The last excavation made was in 2007, led by Professor Dr. Nick Hassan Shuhaimi Nick Abdul Rahman, a well-known archaeologist from UKM. Unfortunately, after 2 weeks, their mission was forced to cease as they lacked funds. However, they were able to come across some pieces of porcelain in the area, and based on this discovery, it's sufficient enough to say that the city could have been built when the Khmer Empire was at the height of its power. Moreover, after some land development has been made, pyramids are evident to be in the area. Ahmad Najib Muhammad Don of Kampung Melayu, a villager from Chini, said the way the hills are positioned are rather odd and somewhat unnatural. Yes, the hills around Lake Chini are supposed to be pyramids. Weird sightings. Over the decades, there have been occasional reports of sightings, but as in the case of the Loch Ness Monster, these have never been scientifically proven. But let's just take a look at a few of them. Around the 70s or 80s, a tourist from England had dived in the jetty area, and as soon as he reached the bottom, he saw a stone fence. He swam to it and came across a stone gate. Then, BAM! He was stunned as he suddenly saw a pair of flaming bright red eyes. From that moment on, he kept quiet for a week. He finally opened his mouth and told the story to his friend when he returned to Kuala Lumpur.
No one knows for sure about the authenticity of this story because there is no transcript regarding this white man's story. It's quite suspicious, as pens and cameras for record purposes already exist during the time.
The second sighting happened in May 1959. A British engineer, Arthur Porter, his clerk Baharuddin, and 2 labourers named Lajan and Malik all claimed to have seen a dragon-like creature at the lake. The sighting earned Mr. Porter the nickname Dragonwick. Another sighting happened in the 1980s. Muhammad Razali Muhammad Baki, 62, a tourist boat driver, quitted his job after he saw a huge black snake. He said it was as big as a tong drum. He said he did not dare to pay Lake Chini another visit ever since. He'd get goosebumps every single time he retells this experience, as it happened in front of him, and will always remain as a traumatizing memory. Muhammad Fikri Amin Adnan, 37, a villager, also claims that mysteries lurk in every corner of the Chini Lake. He said once a villager frequently faced strange encounters like facing a massive black entity, known locally as Lembaga Hitam, after he killed a black snake in Tasik Chini.
Another man also experienced something similar.
In 1986, Bahasan Abdullah, 51, a Chini fielder explorer, was fishing around the Gumums area when he suddenly caught a gigantic black snake on his fishing net. He tried to free it, but the snake was super aggressive. So he slashed the snake dead and threw it into the lake. He then pulled his net, and to his surprise, another similar snake was trapped at the end of it. He treated it the same way he did with the other snake. As he was on his way back, he suddenly saw 3 legit dragon body arches. As it moved, it created massive waves on the lake's surface. 2 Indonesian men who were also having a swim at the time fled as soon as they saw that spectacular water movement. As soon as he arrived home, he felt a weird urge to scratch an itch on his head. Several days after that, he had scabies on his head. And I've done some research, and having scabies on your head is pretty unusual. And then, scabies started to spread, and soon afterwards, his whole body was full of these weird scabies-like rash that had blisters and a foul smell. He went to see more than 30 shamans around the country, but even they could not help him. He also did the most apt and logical thing he could do, that is by seeing the doctor. He stayed at the hospital for 20 days. Dismally, even the doctors were not able to find a compatible cure, saying he's in the pink of health and there's nothing wrong.
Weird doctors.
He had to endure this mysterious disease for 13 years. To make things worse, because of this, his wife left him. Poor guy.
However, no matter what the true story is, it is important for us to realize that the Earth is sure infinite in extent. And as Homo sapiens have only discovered a fraction of the Earth's surface. That is 35%. The other 65% remains undiscovered. In other words, obviously there are still creatures waiting to be discovered.
And when you come to think of it, let's just say that perhaps this is a made-up story, simply from human imagination. However, don't you agree that the source of imagination is actually formed and inspired by real-life events?